Hey class, today we're going to be starting on number 13 in our test prep packet. And this part is going to start us working with circles. Now we have two super important formulas that we need to remember. So I'm going to put these up here at the top. We need to remember the circumference, which is the outside of the circle. We can say it is 2 times the radius times pi, or since 2 times the radius is just diameter, we could say that circumference equals the diameter times pi. Both of these formulas will work for you. Now there's another one where we get the area, meaning the inside of a circle. Area equals pi times the radius squared. See the difference? In this one, we times it by 2, and in this one, we are squaring. All right, so now that we have our formulas, and yes, you will need to memorize these, we are going to take a look at some example problems. Number 13 says, using the measurements given, okay, these measurements, select 2 circles whose circumference are greater than pi and less than 3 pi. Okay, so before I start finding any circumference, I'm going to remember that pi is approximately 3.14 if I round it off. So what's 3 pi? Well, I'm going to use my calculator and go 3 times 3.14. 3 pi is approximately 9.42. So my job is to find out all of these circles' circumference and select the ones that are in between 3.14 and 9.42. Well, okay, let's start finding circumference. Remember, we're using these formulas right here. My first circle has a diameter of 0.5. So using my formula right here, diameter times pi. Here I go. So I'm going to go 0.5 times pi. Grab my calculator again. It's going to help me with these decimals. And I get 1.57 is my circumference. All right, next one. In this circle, the diameter is 5. Still using this formula right there. So I'll take 5 times pi and get 15.7. You might have noticed that when we were multiplying 0.5 or 5, notice the decimals just changed. Yep, that happened. The next circle has a radius of 0.75. Now, since I'm using the radius, I'm going to switch over to this other formula. And I know that I have to take the radius times 2 times pi. All right, here comes my calculator. 0.75 times 2 times 3.14 is 4.71. Okay, we're doing great. 2 more circles to go. The next circle has a radius of 1. So I'm using this formula. I'm going to take the radius, which is 1, times 2 times pi. And get my calculator to help. 1 times 2 times pi. It's 6.28. Whew, this is a lot of work for one problem. 1 more circle to go. The radius is 2. So I will take the radius, which is 2, times 2, because my formula said so, times pi. Come on, calculator. And I end up with 12.56. Now, I've just found the circumference for each of these circles. So the question is, which one of these answers is in between 3.14 and 9.42? My first one, no, that is smaller than 3.14, so that's not an option. The next one, 15.7, oh, 15 is bigger than 9, that's not an option. C, 4.7, 4 is in between 3 and 9, so this is an option. The third one is a 6.28. Yes, that is in between those two numbers. That's an option. And my last one is 12.56. Nope, that's too big. Okay, we're done. We have found all of the circles whose circumferences are greater than pi, but less than 3 pi. And it is C and D. Ta-da! Now, I know you're so excited. You get to do this one all by yourself. Go. Okay, now that you've finished with 14 and 15, let's skip ahead to number 16 and look at this one. This says, what is the circumference of a circle with a radius of 9? Now immediately I look down and I see that these are not finished answers. I bet these have something to do with the formula. So let's remind ourselves what the formula for circumference is. Okay, so I'm bringing back my notes from number 13. Circumference tells me that I should take 2 times the radius. Okay, so in this case, the radius is 9. 2 times 9 times pi. That's not one of the options. This is close, but this is 9 pi squared. We're not squaring. 18 pi. Now this has some options to it. Do you see how 9 times 2 would give me 18? And those would be the same thing. So I should choose B as my answer. All right, let's keep going. You tried 17 all by yourself, so let's take a look at number 18. I'm going to read. The pizza order changed to a 14-inch pizza from a 10-inch pizza. Approximately how much did the area change after the change in diameter? Whoa. Now, some of you might be tempted to go, oh, 14 minus 10 is 4. I'm done. But wait a minute. The 14-inch pizza, what they're describing is the diameter. It's 14 inches across. And that's what they told us right here, change in diameter. And the 10-inch pizza has a circle with 10 across. They don't want to know the difference in diameter. They want to know how much did the area change. So we're going to need to calculate the area of both of these circles and then find the difference. All right, to do this, we're going to need our formula that we talked about at the beginning of this video. There it is. Area equals pi times the radius squared. All right, so I'm going to take this first circle and I'm going to find the radius. If the diameter is 14, half of that would be 7. Now I'm ready for my formula. A equals pi times the radius squared. Now you want to make sure you're always using the radius, not the diameter. Be very careful. Now, squaring is different than timesing by 2. 7 squared means I have 7 times 7. Okay, see how there's 2 of them there? 7 times 7. So we're going to grab my calculator. We're going to do this. We're going to say 7 times 7 is 49 times pi, and that's 153.9. I'm going to just round it right there. Okay, my first pizza is 153.9 inches squared of deliciousness. Now, if I change my mind and get the 10-inch pizza, remember 10 is the diameter, we're going to do this again with the radius of 5, because 5 is half of 10. So here we go. Area equals pi times my radius squared. All right, 5 times 5 is 25. And now I need to multiply that by pi. And I get an area of 78.5 inches squared. There. Now I have the area of both of the pizzas. And what we want to know is how much did the area change? What's the difference? Hopefully that's cueing your brain to think about subtraction. So I'm going to take this 153.9 and we are going to subtract the other pizza to find out what is the difference between the two. And I got 75.4 square inches of difference. Okay? That's a lot of difference in the pizza. So as we look at our choices over here, I notice that none of these match exactly. That's because we're using pi. So notice the test question said approximately. That means we're going to have to round. So now that I have my answer, I'm going to pick C because it is the closest to that answer. Okay, now we're going to skip ahead to number 21. This will be the last one we do together. Then you'll have to finish the ones we skipped all by yourself. All right, so for this question, we want to know what is the closest area of this figure. Now, immediately I see that this is a composite figure. There is a half circle right there and a rectangle right there. So we're going to need to find the area for both shapes and then add them together for the total. Let's start with the rectangle because they are the easiest. So rectangle, now there's no numbers, so I'm going to have to count. And I counted, and I got 9 by 6. So to find the area of a rectangle, it's just 9 times 6, which is 54. I guess units squared. Okay, that's out of the way. Now I can tackle the half circle. Okay, so my half circle, for a minute, let's just pretend it's a whole circle. And since the up-down was 6, that tells me that the diameter is 6. But I don't need the diameter. My formula needs the radius squared. So half of 6 gives me 3. Okay, here we go. So I have pi times my radius, which is 3, squared. Now I know that 3 times 3 is 9. So I'm going to take that 9 and multiply it by pi. And I get 28.26. But I need to remember that this area was for the whole circle, and I only want half of it. So I cut it in half and got 14.13. Now I need to add that to the 54, get this, 68.13. which is C.